going to come and give us a little talk about the man behind the badge. So if you'd like to come up here,
That's the earliest anybody's ever done it, Chandan. One weekend of the
Does anyone want anything else quickly?
Excuse me, before Sham starts, anybody need any more drinks?
Send it to you.
Jeff, you okay? Everybody else okay?
Graham, you right?
Yeah, I've got a white wine thing.
Okay.
But Chandan, you're all right?
No worries.
I'll just be in the office.
Okay.
Make about 7:15.
lovely.
Well, okay, thanks.
Before I start, how long do I have?
So how long would you like?
Oh, I've got about a few minutes to come.
That's fine. So 20 minutes is the max.
Oh,
Before you won't be there, right?
Well, Jason called me and he said, talk about yourself, and I just wanted to, I tried to put some points together, and I want to talk about my family, and school and university life in Australia in general, and what I do for a living at the stage. And I'll try and make it as interesting as possible. I was born in Bangalore. Bangalore is in the southern part of India. As you know, it's also called the Garden City of India because of the number of parks in the city itself. It's got a lot of greenery, and it's also called the IT capital of India. All the major IT companies like IBM, Google, etc., they have branches in India, in Bangalore. A lot of young boys and girls, they move to Bangalore if they want a career in engineering, especially in software, and yeah, that's where I was born. I just want to talk to you a little bit about my family. My father, Dr. Ishwaran, is a veterinary doctor by qualification, but he didn't like being a veterinary doctor, so he moved to banking just when I was really born.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a different jump.
In our hands.
Yeah. Yeah, he was born in a small village called Chandan. It's about 2 hours drive from Bangalore. This village had about 400 people in it when I was born. And he was actually one of 10 kids from grandparents. My grandma was about 15 years old when she gave birth to my dad. And my dad was a premature baby. So when he was born, those days in the village, there were no hospitals, it was just they didn't have an incubator or anything. So my grandma, she lost hope on the baby surviving. But my great-grandmother, she was persistent. She kept forcing open his mouth, pouring some milk. And after 2 days' time, he actually showed signs of, that he'd pull through. So that was a big story that I talk about all the time. So since then, it's been my grandfather was actually a politician, and so being a politician in India is actually pretty rewarding. So he owned a lot of farmlands, etc. He had to sell all those farmlands to educate all these kids. We had 8 kids, and he moved to Bangalore as a banker. Currently, he's actually heading the agriculture division of State Bank of India. It's the bank that he works for. And this bank has got about 14,500 branches all over the world. It's big, and yeah, he's actually currently based in Mumbai. That's where he is in. My mother, Kamala Ishwaran, she was born in Bangalore. She's a homemaker. She's one of 8 kids. So we have a huge family, as you can imagine. So when we all get together, we have to really squeeze through for a photo, It's a huge line of cousins and everything. I've got one younger sister, Darshana. She's actually a software engineer herself. She's specialized in networking, and she works for Google California, San Francisco. She lives with her brother-in-law. My brother-in-law, sorry. Yeah, I've got a nephew. He's 2 years old. I went and visited them last year at San Francisco. It was just awesome to be there with them. Because one of the rules of working in a bank in India is that you get transferred from one city to another every 2 to 3 years. So my dad, after I was born, he changed about 7 different cities, and I had to change 7 different schools because I was traveling along with him. So throughout his career. At the end, I had to go to a uni, and when I had to go to a university, at that point I had to leave home and join a hostel. What we call hostel back in India is, I think it's the uni lodge here in Australia, but only difference is it's all timed in hostel, so at 8 o'clock you have to come for breakfast, and you have to turn off your lights at 10 o'clock, etc. So it's a pretty strict university hostel. So I stayed there in Bangalore. I did my engineering, so I specialized in instrumentation technology. And at the end of finishing my engineering, I wanted to pursue my master's in business administration, but I actually wanted to go to America. That's where I wanted to do my MBA. And I graduated from engineering in 2002, and that's when the World Trade Center thing happened. And the number of visas that they were giving to go to America just stopped altogether from India because of security reasons and whatever else. My other second option, which in hindsight was a very good option, was to come to Australia to do my master's in business administration. I got an offer from Metro, Bandura, so I came here about 10 years ago, 2003, to do my MBA. Before I joined Latrobe, I looked at the brochure for Australia, I looked at Latrobe, and the brochures had beautiful pictures of the beaches, you know, the girls, everything else. You know, it was really attractive for me to move to Australia.
Wasn't much right, it was the beaches.
Yeah, everything else, the cleanliness and everything. Yeah, when I landed here, I had all these dreams. You know, oh, I'm going to live in this beautiful country, and it's going to be beautiful and stuff. But when I landed here, I didn't know anyone here. A cousin of mine lives in Sydney. His friend lived in Melbourne who arranged for some accommodation for me. So he came and picked me up from the airport. We drove back home. This was at Brunswick. And I entered the house. It was a 3-bedroom house, and there were 13 boys living in the house.
Wow.
And it didn't make sense to me. You know, it's supposed to be like a beautiful life and stuff. Why are you guys all staying in this house? You know? And they said, oh, the cost of living is really expensive. And that's when they explained to me that the conversion, the dollar to the rupees, which is the currency back in India, was pretty high even at that point of time. So that, I'll give an example. A dollar 10 years ago was equal to about 25 rupees. And for 25 rupees, a family of 4 could feed themselves really good back in India, in a nice restaurant, etc.
For $1.
Yeah, for $1. And yeah, so that you know, it came as a shock for me because I didn't calculate all that before I moved to Australia. So first day at uni, started in the morning. It goes on till 9 p.m. Because there was some orientation, etc. And I'm hungry and I wanted to have some food. I go, I look at the vending machine, I look at the chips, and it says $2.50. I just couldn't understand how I could pay $2.50 for chips, and I said, no, I'm not going to have this food. And I go back and sit in the class. At 9 o'clock, I take the tram back home, and I'm feeling dizzy, and then I realize I haven't had any food since morning. I get out from the tram, and I realize that I missed the last bus back home from Brunswick to this thing. So it was a very horrible situation for me, and I found some coins in my pocket. I had to go, I found a phone booth. I didn't have a mobile phone at that point of time. So I put the $2 coin on the phone booth, and I called my friend and I said, look, I'm here, I don't know how to come home. Can you pick me up? You know, the same gentleman who picked me up from the airport. He said, yeah, sure, I'll be there in about half an hour or so. I said, yeah, okay, I'll just wait near the phone booth. So I disconnected the phone call, and I was waiting for the change to come up, and there was no change. and I just spent $2 for a phone call. And, you know, all these things, it was a big shock for the first few days. And English was another major thing. One thing that I realized was when I entered the classes started the very next day. The first was marketing, and this gentleman, this professor was actually from England. The second class was about finance, and it was this gentleman from China, and then there was one from Australia, the third one, and I couldn't understand any of them. Just, you know, the accent, the English, even though I studied English throughout my schooling and university, it was just, I just couldn't understand anything. And Latrobe University, I don't know if if you know, it's actually a large campus, and there's a bus that actually goes from one department to another. So I was sitting in the bus, and there was this lady, I remember her name is Sonia, and she looked at me and she goes, "So where are you from? You look new." And I said, I was luckily able to understand what she was saying. And I said, "Look, I don't understand what's happening in the class. This is my problem." And she said, "Why don't you talk to people, talk to me, and see if you can. I'll try and teach you some words." And I said, "Yeah, let's do that." And every day, for about a month, I made sure that I traveled in the bus throughout the circle, to talk to Sonia, to pick some words, so that helped a little bit to understand what was happening in class. There was another incident I want to share with you. Is when those 13 boys staying in that house, we had this perception that I know maybe it's wrong, in real estate especially.
No, but I'm just thinking, poor you. All those smelly boys. Close quarters. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the 13 boys who were staying there, they had a perception that it was very difficult for boys or girls coming from India to get a job, part-time job that actually is not driving taxi or is not working in a 7-Eleven. That was a perception that they had, and that's another thing that I couldn't come to terms with, because back in India, the society and the status is very important. And coming from a family which is so huge, and coming from my father again is a pretty high up in the bank and stuff, and I just couldn't come up with the terms that I was actually working in a 7-Eleven and mopping floors and stuff. Now I know that it's a normal thing that at that point of time I just couldn't digest that that's what I was doing. I worked there for about 4 or 5 months, and I hated every day that I was doing it. I bought a piggy bank. I started putting $2 coins. These $2 coins keep coming up. $2 coins in the piggy bank, and sometimes $10, etc. And as soon as I had enough money to go back to India, and I bought a ticket back to India. This was during my summer vacation. I came in September quarter, and 3 months later, 3 or 4 months later, I had to go back to but just right at that point, I attended an interview with Woolworths, Safeway. I was still studying at that kind of time, and Woolworths, Safeway called me in for an interview, and they offered me the job. But at that point of time, I had already lost my battery life, my motivation, everything. So I just wanted to go back, and I just wanted to stay with my mom and dad at that point of time. I said, "Look, that's great, but I have to go to India." So I bought a 1-month ticket, went back to India, got properly fed by mom and dad. So I was weighing about 50 kilos maybe at that point of time, and by the time I came back, it was about 65. Really. I just had to recharge my whole thoughts and everything else. So I said I booked the ticket for 1 month. I extended it by 1 more month at the end, and then another month. So I ended up staying there for 3 months instead of coming back. But when I came back, I thought, okay, I'm sure I lost my job at Safeway, and I don't think they're going to give me back. I didn't want to go back to doing the petrol station job that I had, so I thought I'd do something else. But I went to Safeway, and I said, "Look, I've come back. I had a personal thing, that's why I had to go back." And they said, "Oh, that's good. They're really busy at that point of time." The supervisor was really busy, and they said, "Are you available this afternoon?" I said, "Oh yeah, I am." They come in, and just on that that week, I was available. It was during holidays again. It was still in the holidays time, and people are not available. And I worked, and for that week I earned about $1,000 just for that week, and that just changed the whole thought process of mine. Working at Safeway also showed me different things. I got a lot of friends who treated me as a person. They actually understood where I was coming from. They at the end of the day, they say, "Oh, let's go for drinks," and all these things were new. Everything was new to me coming to this country. So I would tag along with them, and they would explain, "This is what it does. This is how you do stuff here, etc." And it was wonderful. Working at Safeway changed. I should say it helped me a lot. So working at customer service, talking to all the customers, I improved my English again further. I was able to understand everyone. After that, in the uni, and everything fell in place. Some of the staff were really wonderful. One lady specifically was working in the cash office. She offered me a job at the cash office because she knew that I was doing accounting, and that's where I wanted to head towards. And her husband was actually working for ANZ. So when I finished my university, which was, I finished my MBA, and then I had to do some accounting subjects to ensure that I continue staying in this country. At that point of time, I wanted to stay in Australia. I didn't want to go back. This gentleman, the husband of the lady who I was working with, he helped me frame up this resume, etc. And on the CV, and he actually trained me on how exactly these questions, interview happens and what exactly they would ask, etc. And the first interview that I had was with a firm that was actually in South Road, somewhere again about 7 years ago. And I had one more interview, which was with Brett Williams. Brett Williams had the second interview. I got the first job. I already, I said, yeah, okay, I'll take that job. And the CEO of that company, 1 week later, changed his mind on spending more on a new employee. And he said no. And Brett Williams at the same point of time, he called me and he said, look, there's an opportunity here if you want to come. So that's how I joined Brett and Complete Super Solutions. Once I joined Complete Super Solutions, I saw a totally different set of people. All white collared, all a very different culture, very different family environment. People noticed everything that you did. You had a haircut, they come and say, oh, this is nice. New pants, it was nice. They had everything. Everything was noticed, and they made you feel welcome in that company. And they took interest. So as soon as I joined the company, in about 4 months' time, my sister's wedding was arranged. It was an arranged marriage. In India, what it means is if a sister is getting married, it's an honor for the brother to actually conduct the wedding. So I had to take time off to go and conduct this wedding. We sponsored the whole wedding. That's how it works. And so I went to Brett and I explained, this is the culture. So I had to go. It was just 3 months in the job. And he was kind enough to say, okay, look, 6 weeks, no problem, just go, finish the thing and come back. That was awesome. So I went there, finished the wedding, and I came back with a totally re-energized, again the battery was recharged and everything else, putting on some more weight. So came back and started working for Complete Super Solutions. Complete Super Solutions was pretty new at that stage. We had one other staff member apart from me, and Brett was actually trying to build that business from there on. Currently, Complete Super Solutions is actually servicing about 600 different clients. It was 150 at that point of time, and it's grown from there on. So I joined him as a junior accountant, and I've grown from there on and stuff. Now Brett and me, we're talking about having some ownership in the business. So it's been a very nice journey for me at Complete Super Solutions, and that's where I met Drain. That's how this Rotary thing came about. So that's good too. Apart from that, I just want to. When I got married, I wanted to tell you this too. When I got married about 3 years ago, Brett decided, okay, look, it's a good thing. It's an Indian wedding, so let's all go and watch this. Let's be part of Chandan's wedding. So all the 16 staff members, we had 17 at that point of time. We had one receptionist who was new, so she stayed back to take phone calls, and the 16 staff member flew down to India for the wedding. Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah, it was wonderful to have them. Weddings in India, as you know from movies and stuff, it's huge. So we had about 4,000 people. Oh my God! Yeah.
Family members.
I didn't know 3,850 of them. From the family, so yeah. There's no concept of round chair. I've been to a couple of weddings here in Australia, and they all sit on a round chair, like how we had. There's no concept like that. So there's a big hall. There's a big hall, and everyone was sitting in the hall. The family would sit in the hall. There's a pathway like this, so the bride and the groom stands at the stage. So people walk in through the path. They come and they wish the bride and the groom. They go. So this wedding hall is actually 3 floors. The first floor is where we all stay, because this goes on for 7 days. The wedding. The second floor is where actually the ceremony happens, and the ground floor is where the food, the catering happens. So these people walk in, they wish the bride and the groom, they go down, have their food, and they walk out. So that's how we could manage the 4,000 people. Otherwise, if they all decide to sit down, there's no space. So yeah, that was fantastic. Having them and having there's a lot of photos that we clicked. So when I click photos of my family with the bride and the groom, etc. It was those kind of pictures. And I came back to work after the wedding, and all of them, they uploaded the photos on our drive. And I looked at the pictures that the staff clicked, and they clicked pictures of the wedding was just maybe 2 or 3 photos, the actual bride and groom, but they clicked pictures of all the the cows on the road and the cucumber cut in a different style. So I could see that what they're looking at is very different to what we're looking at. We get used to a lot of things as compared to what it was a good experience for the 16 staff members who came and stayed there and stuff, and including the family members. Some kids, they became very good friends of my cousins. They still write to each other, have pen pal friends kind of things. That was great. Just quickly on what I do, apart from CSS, is I play cricket for Hampton Cricket Club, Hampton United Cricket Club, which should be clear on the brain. And after I joined, that was the first time I actually played in an organized cricket fashion. There is a field in India. You would find 4 or 5 teams, as you know, would travel there. They'll be playing. There'll be 4 or 5 games in the same field. There's no one game. It's not like there's a lot of people, as you can imagine. So here it was again different, an organized cricket club, and it was a new thing for me. The sledging, the talk, everything was really new and cool. There was another incident which I have to share. Well, you're going to meet this gentleman, Tomlinson. You all know.
Dave Thompson.
Dave Thompson, yeah.
Some people know John.
I know him.
My kid was
So I
trained
played in
by
the same club as on the first game that I played. I actually played with Tom. He was bowling, and again, this in Australia people like shortening the names, and that was so MCG is called G. That was really surprising. You can't go more than that. So Tomlinson was called Tomo. So I was feeling a mid-wicket, which is closer to where the wicketkeeper is, getting the ball, and he just throws the ball back to me, and I just throw the ball back to the bowler. And everyone was saying, "Oh, good ball, Tomo, good ball, Tomo." I thought I heard his name was Homo. So I got the ball, and I said, "Oh, good ball, Homo, good ball." So it was embarrassing actually, I didn't realize this for some time until the feeling behind me. He walked up to me and he said, "His name is not Homo, it's Homo." I said, "Okay." And even at that point of time, I didn't know what Homo meant. And I came back to the club, and everyone was laughing at me and cracking jokes and stuff. And what exactly happened? And he explained to me what it was. And so that was a great experience. And the first year, I won the best first year player award. So that was great. I think Hampton Cricket Club has become part. It's been 3 years now. I've been playing with them, and it's been awesome. Apart from that, I also play tennis at the Melbourne Park, which is again good. Last week, my team, we actually won the A2 Champions trophy, so that was good.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, I just want to just end this thing with this whole experience that I've had, whatever people showed me at Rotary or my friend circle back in CSS, etc. This helped me to who I am right now, today, etc. And but when I talk to my friends or when new students come in, I give them this experience, this hope of look, this country is awesome and there's a lot of nice people around. So just it's up to you to use your opportunities, etc. Even when there was a lot of news back in India about Indians getting bashed up here in Australia, I just wanted to assure all these students that it's not true. Family called up and they said, "Look, I hear this in the news, so is this true?" Of course not. It's been 10 years and not one racist mark or not one bad experience. So you should know by now that it's just a remote incident and that's what it is. Because of all this experiences, I think it's time to give back something to the community, and I think Rotary is an awesome place to start with. especially with my father being a Rotarian as well. So yeah, that's how this came about. Thank you.
Because I'm sure we have some questions.
Oh, okay.
Now, my first question I want to ask you, and I hope it's not embarrassing for you to tell us, is your marriage an arranged marriage?
Yes, it is.
It is, okay.
Oh yeah, I actually wrote my wife's name up, so yeah.
Would you like to tell us how you first met each other?
Sure. 4 years ago, my parents made a visit to Melbourne to make sure that I've got a good life and stuff, because of social status and stuff, we don't tell. I never told my parents that I was working in a petrol station and stuff, because they wouldn't see it, in the angle of Australia. They would think that, oh my God, my son is struggling, so can I give him more money or something like that. But even giving money, it would be difficult because my university fees it's usually 4 times more than what the Australians pay. If you're not a citizen, you have to pay 4 times more, and that money was against my dad's house, so I actually borrowed a loan to come over here to pay that. So when they came here, they looked at my job at CSS, they looked at my apartment, they saw that I was driving a car, so it's all good, and they said it's time to get you married, Chandan. Well, 6 years in Australia, so I was already on a cat on a wall stage. I was a bit westernized. I was being exposed to making those decisions myself, etc. But obviously they won at the end. But so they went back. They started. The process is they actually there are brokers. There are brokers who actually do this kind of thing. So they have photos and. I know it's a different word, but anyway, they have photos and stuff, and there's a lot of filtering that happens. So the astrology has to match, the star signs has to match, etc. So all those things, and then the families should agree, and then it comes to my choice. After all these things, so they did all this, and after that they filtered, and they had about 6 different girls' profiles and photos that they sent across to me in an email over here. So I decided, okay, I didn't show the photos to Brett, but I said to Brett, it's time to get married, and I need a 2-week break to do this thing. So I got 2 weeks to go back and meet these 6 girls. So I met. When I say meet, it's not one-on-one. The families are all sitting. So I sit there and we talk about whatever it is. And, so I got. When I met Rashmi, I got about half an hour with her, along with the family. So they didn't want to, and I said, look, I want to talk to her myself, because I wanted to tell Rashmi, I actually like having alcohol. Alcohol is considered wrong back in India, in culture and stuff, and I like to have a couple of drinks every now and then. So I wanted to tell her, but my parents, they still don't know that actually. So I wanted to tell her about myself. So I said, look, I would like to talk to Rashmi in a separate room. So they said, yeah, no problem, and they arranged the dining room. But they made sure the door was open. And they sent a small kid along with Rashmi, just in case. So he was sitting there, and I said, Rashmi, this is what it is, and I hope you're okay with that. The last thing I wanted is, And she said, oh yeah, that's fine and stuff. And I said, well, I have to say quickly about Rashmi's father too. Rashmi's father was an ex-politician. He's a very well-off man, and Rashmi is they got a lot of money back in India. And I said, look, one thing that you'll notice is I was living with a Colombian over here. At that point of time, I had already moved over to people's house.
Yeah, great.
And
pleased to hear that.
Yeah. And I was living with a Colombian here in Kilda, Balclava, because it was closer to complete solutions at that point. I told Rashmi, this is where I live. I drive a second-hand car, and this is how much I earn. Are you okay to come and live a life like this? Because over there she had 4 helpers in the house, and anything that she wanted was all given to Rashmi, etc. And she said, no, that's exactly what I want. I want to go and find a wife and just live with myself. That's what made me. And I have to fly back in about 4 months' time. I have to fly back again for the wedding. So there was no meeting before.
Well, thank you for that. That gives us a very good exposure into Your life with Rashmi.
Yeah.
What does she do?
She's working as a software tester
Okay.
with Brendan Lee in the same office for about 3 days.
Right.
And she works at Nicolino's in the administration lately. For 2 days there.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, well, have we any other questions? Yes,
Can I
great.
extend that just a little bit, Jan, with the traditions in India? Is it traditional for all members of the family to go through an arranged family, or is it just really the eldest person, or?
Oh, it is traditional for all of them. Yeah. So my sister.
Because in some societies, for example, Japan, it's just the head of the eldest person who goes through that.
Okay.
With Indians coming over here now, are they changing the way they do? Are those traditions changing at all? Like, do young Indians now choose their own? They say to choose their own partner and going out, and having more than one partner and all that.
Yeah, all that is changing. All that is changing a lot.
Oh,
And then
I'm not saying that that's a bit of wrong. So.
Yeah. No, I understand. I understand the question now. I'll tell you what, it's very difficult when you don't speak proper English to actually walk up to an Australian girl, for example, or anyone who's living here and just ask her out, for example. But yeah, to answer your question, people are changing. The mindset has changed completely. So when they come here, they see there's a lot of freedom, a lot of decisions that they can make themselves. And this is one of them. But a lot of friends of mine, they've gone the other way and they've married over here. Yeah, that's happening.
I have to say that your decision to befriend Sonia in the early days was a very smart thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's where probably a lot of people go wrong. They, expect everybody to come to them. And life's not like that, is it?
It's not.
And look how she obviously helped you so much with your English. Are you still friends?
Oh no.
Oh, okay. You moved on.
Yeah.
That's okay.
One question, or comment much anything. We might look on these arranged marriages as a bit archaic, but they do have a fairly good success rate, don't
They
they?
do.
Considering the divorce rate here is about 50%.
Yeah.
I think 90. I think it's more than 90% of arranged marriages stay forever. Yeah.
Well, is that just because it's the thing to do and you sort of put up with a woman you've been sort of put with for
Well,
family reasons, or
that actually plays a major part. Not here. But as I said, the families meet first and they agree on everything first before we actually go on. So there's a lot of social pressure as well. There's a lot of so if I have to make a decision, I have to speak to Rashmi's father. Even buying a house, for example, that's one thing that I'm doing right now. I'm looking for a house to buy, and so I have to speak to Rashmi's father, Rashmi's mother. And it's a full family decision for things like that. So it is not, so if there is a fight, for example, if there is an argument or whatever it is, and if you're not able to solve it within, then the family gets involved. And they try and solve it somewhere or the other.
I wondered, did you see the Q&A program last week after Rotary? It was filmed, Q&A program. It was filmed in India, in a theatre in India.
Okay.
And they had about, did any of you see it? It was fantastic. There were about 3 politicians, a very good female journalist, and you know how they do tweets across the television. It was saying, she is the best journalist we've ever had on. Forget all the Australian journalists. An Australian girl who's actually now, she's an Indian, of Indian background, but she's a Bollywood actor, so she was on. And the only Australian was Stuart McGill, who is an ex-cricketer and obviously spends a lot of time working with Indian cricketers. So it was a really positive show, and they dealt with difficult issues, like the raping in India, like how the Indian students were treated here, and the Indian people all gave their perspective, just as you saw it. So it was a very, very
it's on
interesting
YouTube.
program.
My brother said it's on YouTube
It's
or on the
fantastic.
internet.
Any other questions?
Chandan, did I hear right that you originally graduated in engineering?
Yes, I did. I did instrumentation electronics.
Do you have some wish to perhaps get back on that trail again?
He's an engineer, that's
Oh,
what
okay. a part of that course actually had computer science involved in major parts. So the current job that I have at Red, I actually do a bit of software development, a little bit of management, and a bit of accounting.
So it's
actually
technology then?
Yeah. Technology that helps. So I think that's one job that I've got 3 degrees and all the 3 degrees are being used.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Just for other people interested, Brett is the principal of Financial Affairs, which is a financial planning company, and then separately, Legal Solutions is the administration of accounting side of the super funds and that sort of stuff. So they're 2 separate entities, but also they have developed, I'm sure, tend to be involved in some very good reporting systems. So at any stage, I can log in and I can look up performance of my super fund, all the different things.
Oh, I need one of those.
But with all the different shares and whatever else is in it, and
That's
compare up to
fantastic.
the dividends have come, a whole range of things.
So
it's a pretty specialised area.
did you set that up, do you?
We did, yes.
Oh, okay.
We also give online access to all the documents, so we have to act as the mailing house.
Yeah.
So it's just
Oh,
people
interesting.
who are on pension phase, they can just retire and they can
Yes.
just go on the cruises and whatever. Just
Yeah.
leave it at
They
that.
send me the money.
So you
I
just-
pay for it, but
Yeah,
but
yeah. You just have a look on the computer, see what you're worth
yeah.
every night.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
I would be looking every
If
night.
I have a particular share that.
Yeah, sure. Saves looking up the paper. Yeah.
And the whole performance over the last 3 years,
Yeah.
the dividends, any bought and sell I had, or a whole range. Yeah,
That's
so
good.
really
Yeah. Okay, so, sorry,
Oh, just quickly, that system was actually approved by the government for research and development grant.
Okay.
So for the last 2 years, we've been getting grant from the government.
Oh, that's easy.
sounds good, yeah.
Shannon, thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was a great day. Absolutely.